Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 375 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Yes, I have to go somewhere. That's why I look like this. But I decided to make this video anyway, just for you guys. There is a couple DCEU updates, and then we'll go to our main topic. First up is from the geeksworldwide.com. It's an exclusive from them saying that James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is searching for Middle Eastern, Black, and Hispanic actors to play soldiers. With production starting next month, James Gunn is searching for actors to play soldiers in his Suicide Squad sequel. Specifically, Gunn wants Black, Middle Eastern, or Hispanic physically fit men and women to play troops in the film. The soldiers are also seemingly part of a guerrilla army. The film will largely take place in South America, possibly Panama, as well as the Middle East. Idris Elba, who is playing an unknown character, Daniela Melchior is Ratcatcher, David Dastmalchian is Polka Dot Man, are set to play new members of the squad, with Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, Jai Courtney returning as Captain Boomerang, Joe Kinnaman as Rick Flag, and Viola Davis returning as Amanda Waller, reprising the roles for their first film. Benicio del Toro is in talks to play one of the film's two villains, which the Geeks Worldwide first reported. Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn is writing and directing the film, which will hit theaters in August 2021. Now, this doesn't say much, but it does pretty much confirm the setting of the movie. It's going to be in the Middle East. It's going to be a rather kind of like a mercenary Suicide Squad mission into the Middle East. So I can kind of imagine this kind of movie. I mean, you've got the Three Kings, maybe Black Hawk Down, The Kingdom, Zero Dark 30, you know, those type of movies where it's a squad and it's a suicide mission into the Middle East, shooting soldiers and tactical advantages and things like that. I think that'd be pretty an exciting and thrilling movie. It's from we got from an urban setting in the first Suicide Squad mission to this type of Middle East type of setting, and I could really see how gritty that could be if James Gunn works it well and actually plays it off very well. So I am very interested in this movie. It may not be one of like the big three like Wonder Woman, Batman, or Superman, but hey, it's Suicide Squad. I love the first one. I think hopefully I'll like the second one as well, and I'm really eager to see how much it really connects to the first movie other than just the main characters returning. So that is the Suicide Squad. The next thing that I'm kind of excited for is the Batman. And the Batman, according to FullCircleCinema.com, there is a rumor that Paul Walter Hauser is up for the role of Penguin in Matt Reeves' The Batman. A rising star could be making his way to Gotham City. Paul Walter Hauser is one of the contenders to portray the Penguin in Matt Reeves' The Batman, sources tell Full Circle Cinema. At this point in the process, Hauser is one name that Reeves and Warner Brothers are considering for the role, but no formal offer has been made. Hauser is best known for playing Sean Eckhart in the 2017 Oscar-winning film I, Tonya, and Ivanhoe in Spike Lee's Black Klansman. His other credits include YouTube Premium's Cobra Kai, Super Troopers 2, and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Recently, Hauser was cast in Disney's live-action Cruella as the titular villain's henchman Horace. The 32-year-old actor is a near-perfect fit for the role of Oswald Cobblepot based on the character's breakdown. According to their friends at the Geeks Worldwide, the Penguin is described as a Gotham City mobster who is a short, obese man with a long nose, and he uses high-tech umbrellas as weapons. Reeves is reportedly looking for a male actor of any ethnicity between the ages of 20 and 40. Hauser has the correct physique for the Batman rogue, and a 32-year-old, he is within the age range Warner Brothers is reportedly eyeing. So that is also, and that's kind of interesting, although Hauser's representatives could not be reached for comment. Keep in mind, though, although this information comes from their reliable source, without confirmation, it should be taken with a grain of salt. And actually, I'm kind of glad we're starting to hear more actors and actresses going up for these roles, or at least reportedly in talks for these roles, as it's a giant villain cast. And we've got Batman now. Now we've got in talks with possibly John David Washington, possibly being a Two-Face, Paul Walter Hauser as Penguin. We had even Vanessa Kirby as Catwoman. You know, who else is in talks? And it'll be interesting to see where we go, who eventually gets casted in these villain roles. And probably the most exciting part is seeing the costumes. I mean, that is next to seeing who's going to play these parts. The next thing that we always get excited for is, what is the costumes going to look like? And then the third thing, and that's probably just me and a bunch of us DCEU fans, is that we want to see if this has any connection, even the slightest at all, to Ben Affleck's Batman. But then, talking about Warner Brothers for a second, they did something really funny, and this is just something really hilarious. Not newsworthy, nothing like that, but Warner Brothers has their own Twitter feed, right? They have their own Twitter channel. Their account is called @WarnerBros, and it's probably run by interns and things, but it's very interesting what they liked, but it's interesting what they liked a while back. And this is actually coming in March 25. And this is actually coming from March 25th, where a user by the name of Nav, @NaveenSridhar26, they said this. This would have been possible with a better management, but Kevin Tsujihara and Toby Emmerich were dumb Fs, had no clue about filmmaking nor good business ideas. And whoever that intern is, who's probably not there anymore, maybe, had liked that tweet. And if you go to the page, I believe it's still there, that tweet that they liked. They didn't retweet it, I don't think, but they did like it. And so, bravo to that intern. They really know what's actually up with that company. But I thought that was kind of funny. I thought I had to share this because that's pretty damn hilarious. Does Toby see this? Who knows? But in case in mind, I guess it's still a Toby Emmerich thing. I guess Toby Emmerich is still kind of a problem. And we'll see, hopefully, that Ann Sarnoff kind of wakes up and decides to do something about him. Or, he learned his ways, whatever, whatnot. Now, in my response to yesterday, there were a lot of different emotions and comments about learning about this suddenly a 2 hour and 45-minute version, which I actually translated to 165 minutes, only because we always call Zack Snyder's Justice League, his version, the one he wants released, 214 minutes. So I thought it'd be kind of eloquent, I guess, to call it 165. I could call it 2 hours and 45 minutes, but then I'd be calling the 214 minutes, 3 hours and 34 minutes. Am I doing my math right? I don't know. But essentially, that's why I just said 165-minute Justice League cuts, because the 214 makes a lot of sense. Now, there's a lot of conversation today, and even right now still, where their people are kind of just don't want anything to do with the 165-minute cut. They're trying to push that away. And I get it. It may not be true. I'm not saying if it's true or not. I don't know Mark Hughes personally. I have no idea where his sources come from. I don't get it. I don't know. But as I'm thinking about the 165-minute cut of Justice League, and if you want to learn more about why is there a 165-minute Justice League, you can click on my my video that I did yesterday called 2 Snyder Cuts. But in a very basic outlook on this is that why does the 165-minute Justice League could exist? Well, for one, and this is just thinking in terms of logically how Warner Brothers is that when Batman v Superman, the theatrical release, came out, its runtime was 151 minutes. Then later on, Warner Brothers and Zack released the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, which Zack does say that's his director's cut, and that came in at 183 minutes, a more 30-minute longer version of the theatrical cut. So with that in mind, and knowing now what Warner Brothers did to Zack, what Warner Brothers had made Zack do by cutting down his Batman v Superman down to a theatrical runtime of 151 minutes, then we can kind of deduce that they made him cut down his 214 Director's Cut of Justice League to a theatrical version of 165 minutes as well. Now, there may have been a little bit more, run times from 165 to 214, rather the other way around, 214 to 165. There may have been more in between, but 165, as we understand it from Mark Hughes, who says he has known now that there is there's a 2 hour and 45-minute version that is 90+% complete, with needs 16 to 17 minutes work done on it. And why is that a good thing? Because the 165-minute, even though Warner Brothers made him work on that, oversee the post-production for the 165, it's still Zack's version. That's one of his versions. Like you hear in the video, sure, there's a cut. It's done. I have a bunch of them. So we can only assume that he knows, and he's kind of telling us that there's many cuts. There's a bunch of them. Which one is complete? Which one is done? That's still up in the air. But let's just kind of talk about the 165, because I know you want the 214. Zack wants the 214, or else he wouldn't have circled it. He circled 214 to let us know that that's his cut. His cut's runtime is 214. And actually, there's only two people who actually circled that for, or actually explained why he circled that. And that was Matt and Shane at Comic Movie Marks. Matt and Shane had the poster, and they asked Zack, what's the runtime, or at least how long is the Justice League cut? Zack Snyder looked at them, looked at the poster, and I'm paraphrasing what actually happened. He circled 214, pointed to that, and then that's where everyone learned that Matt and Shane was able to get out of him that 214 on that poster means that's his cut. But he also said that it's incomplete. He told Matt and Shane at Comic Movie Marks that it's incomplete. But he told another fan, and this one was recorded on video, and that's the dialogue, the quote that we've been pulling around, that's been floating around. Sure, there's a cut. It's done. I have a bunch of them. It's not like it's up to them. So, two different conversations. But we, I guess in a way, put that together. We heard that it's a cut is done. Then we took the 214 and we spliced it together. And then we came up with that narrative that the 214 is done. And we kind of just wanted to forget about the incomplete part that Zack told Matt and Shane of Comic Movie Marks. Now I get it. We don't have a video recording or an audio recording of him saying 214 is the cut, the runtime. We just assume because he circled that, and because of other runtimes that are on the back of I think it was a shirt where it says BvS was runtime and everybody else, all the other movies are runtimes. And so that's where the 214 comes from, but it does make sense. 214, 3 hours and 34 minutes. That sounds like a hefty Zack Snyder movie. A Zack Snyder movie of Justice League. You know, that sounds pretty damn epic, right? So, what do we have to go on? Well, it's still that one video clip that all the journalists are looking at, because they cannot take the word of fans. They can only take evidence. And so they're taking that video, right? And they're listening to it. And to them, that's what exactly it sounds like. There's a cut. It's done. I have a bunch of them. I mean, there are multiple cuts. But what cut is done? Now, I know this is just, speculating at this moment right here. But what if, when he says there's a cut, he's talking about a cut that's done, not my cut. He's not saying my cut is done. There is a cut that's done. Could he be referring to the 165 that's done and not the 214? I don't know. But here it is. Zack wants the 214 cut. We want the 214 cut. I want the 214 cut. Unfortunately, legally, it's up to Warner Brothers, like Zack said. It's up to them. So let's speculate some release scenarios about this. Let's just play along with this for a bit. Not that any of this is going to happen, by the way. If it's true that it's all about ego that's holding this release back, then we get nothing, right? Until that ego goes away, we get nothing. We don't get the 165, we don't get the 214, we don't get the 140, we don't get nothing. We don't get anything of the Snyder Cut. Justice League is done. There's nothing we can do about it until that ego goes away. That's if it's true that it's all only about the ego. Now, if there is no ego issue anymore, if that ego problem goes away, and the 214 is truly complete, 100% ready to go, yay, we get the 214. Everyone is happy, right? It's perfect. There's no more issue. That's awesome, and I can't wait for that to happen. But again, we have to be open-minded to things that we may be wrong about, or else we'll never let the truth in. And not saying that what's wrong and what's right, but we just have to be open-minded for every situation and try to find a solution for every situation. So, if there is no ego, but there is an investment money problem, and Warner Brothers doesn't want to invest a lot more money, however much that is, into the 214 cut, this is what I'm suggesting, that we can use the completed 165 cut to make more money for Warner Brothers to put that investment into completing to 214. It's essentially like they released the Batman v Superman theatrical first, then they released the Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition later. So you see, the 165 cut is not necessarily a bad thing. When we can leverage that to get what we want, to get what Zack wants, and that's to release his Snyder Cut by using a cut that he compromised with. Now you're saying, well, if they released the 165, that's a compromise. But maybe there's a scenario where Zack would actually agree with. Who's going to front the money? And this is only if the 214 is not totally complete. If the 214 is not totally complete and they're trying to find money somewhere, and they call up Zack and say, hey, Zack, we want to release your version, okay? But we don't have the money right now. But what we can do is we can release it on HBO Max. Now, we can release your work in progress print. That's cool. We're going to do that. But knowing Zack as being a perfectionist, he wants us to see his scenes as perfectly possible. He wants to see us those scenes, not the green screen, not a work in print. He doesn't want to do commentary on a work in progress print. Okay? So what if he said this? Like how he approved the BvS theatrical. He approved it. He oversaw it. He had to be. Because he watched the film. He made that. He said that at the Batman v Superman panel. He cut it down to the theatrical version. Okay? So they says, okay, well, if you don't want to invest a lot of money, what minimum amount of investment do we need to get my version, what I want to present to the fans. Well, we got the 165 that you worked on. You know, we can finish that up a bit. You know, there's only 15 minutes that we need to work on. 15, 17, whatever. So let's put that on. I would bet you he'd say yes. I would say he said, okay, but that means that afterwards, when you make that money, Warner Brothers, that you will help me finish my 214. Right? So if he does that, 165 goes to HBO Max. They gain thousands and thousands of subscribers. They gain lots of money from putting that out. Enough investment to put back into Zack Snyder's 214 and then release the 214 later on a Blu-ray, digital, what have you. That's what Zack wants. It's a give and take world. I understand Warner Brothers took a lot from him. But if they even decide to release the 165, then they are ready to release the Snyder Cut. Then they are ready to even think about releasing the 214. So if they release the 165, guaranteed they're going to reach the 214 later on. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.